Hello students, welcome to the online class on business studies and management. In this session, we will read about a third most important function of management, that is staffing. We have already discussed in previous session planning and organizing. Planning means deciding the objective and deciding the best way of achieving the objective. Organizing is the process of creating an organization structure which shows various job positions as shown in the on the board. You see organization structure of the company which is given on the board. At the top of the structure there are shareholders who are the owners of the company. Then below them there are board of directors, general manager, CEO, chief executive officers. Then below them departmental managers, purchase manager, production manager, finance manager and so on, and below them section officers or branch managers. In this way, this is the organization. Below section officers and below branch managers there are workers, those who work in the field. So, this is the organization structure as we have seen in the Four Friends and a Lion story. The first scholar had given shape to the skeleton by joining the bones together. Similarly, organizing is as a function of management can be compared with the function of first scholar. Then the second scholar who added flesh, blood, skin to the structure, to the skeleton, can be compared with that of the managerial function of staffing. So, today's topic is staffing. So, what is staffing? You see, staffing is a managerial function of HR manager, human resource management department. You see there, human resource manager, his function is staffing. Staffing is the process of filling up the vacancies as shown in the organization structure. Organization structure shows various job positions, various job vacancies which are to be filled up by right person who will perform the task, who will discharge the responsibility assigned to each post, who will exercise their authority given to each post. So, staffing is an important managerial function which needs to be done by the HR manager very carefully, because a right person is to be chosen for right job, so that he can discharge his responsibility effectively and efficiently. Okay. So, it is a important function of HR manager. So, there are many definitions, you can go through your book, you can find several definitions from your book. I am not going through all these in detail. I have here in the slide you can I have given the definition given by Kunz and O'Donnell and the Thue-Hyman, and these are the two definitions only I have given here. So, what are the steps? What are the steps of staffing? Let us proceed to that. Manpower planning, the first and foremost important step of staffing. Planning. What is planning? Planning means deciding in advance of action. This it means thinking before doing, what to do, how to do, when to do, and that is called planning. So, what is manpower planning? Manpower planning means deciding the quantity and quality of personnel required for our organization. So, what is quantity means? The number of personnel required. The number of personnel required is decided on the basis of workload involved in each job, and the quality of personnel is decided on the basis of nature of job. What kind of nature is to be, what kind of job is it, and how it is to be handled, what educational qualifications, what technical qualifications, what experience is required on the part of the person who will be appointed to a particular job vacancy, so that he can discharge his responsibility effectively and efficiently. So, number of personnel which is decided on the workload. How to calculate workload? For example, suppose our daily production target is 100 metric ton. Our daily production target is 100 metric ton, and to acquire that much of output, to get that much to achieve that much of output, suppose 120 labor hours is required, 120 labor hours. Suppose our daily working hour is 8 hours. So, 120 labor hours divided by 8 is equal to 15. So, 15 workers are to be appointed to achieve the target of 100 metric ton of output. So, here in this way we decide the number of personnel required, that is called quantity. Then quality. Suppose we are going to appoint finance manager. So, finance manager, what quality or what qualifications should he possess or should she possess? We may think of that he may be a MBA finance, or he may be simple commerce graduate, or he may be CA intern, or like that. So, what qualification is required to discharge the function of financial manager, that is decided by the planner, the top management, that is board of directors. They decide what qualification, or that is decided by HR manager. So, a human resource manager decides the qualification, the minimum qualification, educational qualification, technical qualification, experience that are required on the part of a person who can discharge the responsibility of finance manager effectively and efficiently. Similarly, all other posts are filled up. So, manpower planning means deciding the number of personnel required and quality of personnel required. Number is decided on the basis of workload involved in each job, and quality is decided on the basis of educational qualification, technical qualifications, experience etc. required. So, that is called manpower planning. Then come recruitment and selection. Recruitment, what is recruitment? Recruitment is a process of inspiring job aspirants to apply for jobs. So, the basic objective of recruitment is to increase the number of applicants, so that we can select few among them for as per our needs. Suppose we need 15 workers, and if we get an application, handsome application or huge applications, say 1000 like that, then only we can select the best 15 from among them. So, the basic objective of recruitment is to encourage more and more applicants to apply for the jobs, so that we can select the best 15. So, that is called recruitment. Recruitment is a positive process, because the basic objective is to increase the number of applicants. Okay. Then selection. What is selection? Selection is a process of choosing the right person from among the applicants. Those who have applied for jobs, they are called applicants. From among them, who are best and who can satisfy or who can discharge the responsibility of each job position for which he is being appointed, we will select that person. So, selection is a negative process, because here we follow some certain steps to reject unqualified persons from among the list of applicants. Suppose selection process may include a written examination, an interview, a group discussion or like that. So, selection procedure includes several steps, and in each step we go on rejecting disqualified incompetent persons from among the list of applicants. So, retaining the best from among them. So, selection is a process of rejection, otherwise called rejection, because out of say 100 applicants we will say select only 5. That means that is 5%. So, we will keep or we will select only 5% of applicants, we will reject 95%. That means, we are rejecting more, selecting less. So, selection is otherwise called rejection. It is a negative process. The objective of selection is to retain few, reject more. Then placement. After selecting the right person, they are to be posted in the job vacancy for which he or she has been appointed. That is placement. After placement, next comes orientation. What is orientation? Orientation is a process of introducing the newly appointed employee with the existing employees, as well as he will be made acquainted with the internal environment culture, and he will be made aware about the rules and regulations and plans and policies of the organization. So, that is orientation. This is the first meeting of the newly appointed employees. Then comes training. Training is the process of imparting knowledge, practical knowledge. The person who has been appointed, he may have theoretical knowledge, but he may not have practical knowledge. So, the practical aspect of work is to be taught to him by way of training. Training is needed not only for newly appointed employees, but also for the existing employees. It is needed for the newly appointed employees to get them acquainted with the to make them familiar with the practical aspect of job, and training is also needed for the existing employees to update their knowledge. Suppose a new technology has come and our organization has adopted a new technology, and the existing employees then need training how to use the new technology in production. So, training is needed for both newly appointed employees as well as existing employees. Then comes development. Development is a process of enhancing the skill of the employees. Then performance appraisal. Time to time review of performance of the employees is made. What for? Because every employee wants to be promoted to higher post. So, if by way of review of their performance it is found that an employee has upgraded his skill, an employee has upgraded his knowledge, then he may be posted to a higher job, higher status, higher rank, carrying higher remuneration, higher responsibility. So, promotion means an upward shift of an employee to a higher post, carrying higher responsibility, higher remuneration, that is promotion. Transfer. Transfer means change of place from one job to change of job from one job to another job, having equal rank, equal status. Status does not change, status remains same, only place is changed, that is transfer, department is changed. Then remuneration, another important step in staffing process is deciding the remuneration of the employees. Normally remuneration of the employees is decided on the basis of their performance. So remunerations, a good remuneration system is that which makes a link between the efficiency of the workers and the reward. The more efficient workers should be rewarded more, less efficient workers should be rewarded less. So that is the suitable or ideal remuneration system, remuneration policy. So these are the steps of staffing. Then comes, I have written this in a circular diagram form, the same thing. Then comes features, staffing, features of staffing. It is an important managerial function. You see there are two types of functions performed in a business. One is managerial function, the other is operative functions. Managerial functions in planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. These are managerial functions, and purchase, production, finance, these are all operative functions. So planning is staffing is a managerial function, just like planning and organizing. Staffing is a managerial function, it is a function of management. It is concerned with human resource management. There are different branches of management: finance management, marketing management, production management, similarly HR management, human resource management. Human beings are nowadays considered as resources. Previously they were called personnel, now they are called resources, because they are just like assets, any other assets. Human beings are assets, and the employees who have been appointed in an organization, they are called assets, resources. So human resource management is a separate department, and staffing function is handled by human resource management department. A sequential process, a continuous process, it is a sequential process. As I have discussed, there are steps of staffing. While discussing about the steps of staffing, we have seen that step number 1, step number 2, step number 3 in this way. That step number 1, manpower planning. Step number 2, recruitment, selection. Step number 3, in this way we have studied the sequential process. It is a sequential process, it must be followed in that sequence, in that order. It is a continuous process. Staffing process takes place throughout the year, because employees retire, employees join, new old some existing employees, they retire, they die, or they become incapacitated and they leave the organization, or some due to some personal reason they quit the organization. So continuously throughout the year recruitment process takes place. Some old employees they leave the organization, some new employees are joined in place of them, and it is all pervasive. That means staffing function is exercised, it is needed for all departments, because every department operates through some staff, some team of employees, which is known, which are called staff. So it is all pervasive, means it is needed, it is the staffing function is exercised in all departments. And then importance, the importance is here there are several points: filling of job positions, obtaining competent personnel, high performance. The objective is high performance, it leads to high performance, development of human capital, development of potential manager. Some employees, those who have their interest, they can be taught, they can be properly trained, they can be properly supervised, so that they can enhance their talents, they can get promoted to higher post. So development potential manager enables organization to face competition, optimum utilization of resources. Human resources, normally there are different types of resources: human resources, financial resources, materials, machine. They are all different resources, different assets of the organization, and a staffing function is concerned with development of human resources, optimum utilization of human resources. Then improves job satisfaction. Job satisfaction, the needs, the aspiration, the wants, the desires of the employees, that are to be taken care of. A well satisfied worker will bring wonders to the organization. It is only when a worker is well satisfied, he will put his best effort in the organization. So the staffing function takes care of that. It must be seen that by the HR manager must see that the employee is satisfied up to his most. That means all his needs, all his aspirations, all his motives are to be taken care of by the HR manager, so that he will be well satisfied, and when he will become well satisfied, then only he will bring wonders to the organization. So these are some key terms: staffing, which we have already discussed. You can go through it. A human resource management function, which helps in obtaining right people and putting them on the right jobs and to accomplish the objectives of the organization. Recruitment, the process of searching for or finding candidates for a job. Selection, the process of identifying and choosing the best person out of the number of prospective candidates applied for the job. Then placement, the process of assigning a job position or a post to a person for which he has or she has been appointed. Then orientation, I have already told. Introduction, then training, imparting knowledge about job, Then development, it refers to learning opportunities designed for the employees to help them grow, to improve their performance, to improve their personality. Then promotion, upward shifting, it is upgrading of an employee from a lower post to higher post, carrying higher remuneration, higher responsibility, higher status. Transfer, it implies transfer, shift of an employee from one job to another. So, this is all about the staffing. Thank you all. We will next session we will start directing. So, after staffing, the next managerial function is directing, which is similar to that of the job of the third scholar, who had added life to the dead body of the lion, and after only getting life, the lion became activated and killed all the 3 scholars and disappeared into the forest. So, here also directing adds life to the organization. So, in this topic we will read the meaning, elements, features and importance of directing. So, what is directing? Directing is a managerial process, it is a managerial function of influencing human behavior. Those who have been appointed in the staffing phase, we have appointed many personnel in different job vacancies. Now, they will be motivated, they will be inspired, they will be given instructions, they will be given directions, they will be given orders to start work. So, the actual work starts only with directing. Unless and until instruction is given to the person appointed, they will not start work. So, organization starts working only with directing. So, directing adds life to the organization. You see the meaning, you see the slide, it is a managerial process of influencing the human behavior of the workforce towards achievement of organizational objectives. It is concerned with instructing, guiding, supervising, inspiring employees to achieve the predetermined objectives, and it adds life to the organization. So, you can go through some definitions. I have written here the 2 definitions by Thueheim and Urwick and Brecht. So, according to Thueheim, directing consists of the processes and technique. You see, directing is a broad managerial process, it consists of processes, some of these small processes. There are 4 different processes, but here according to Thueheim, he has included 2. It is a process, it includes processes and techniques utilized in issuing instructions and making certain that operations are carried out as originally planned. So, as per planned, planning shows the best way of achieving the objectives, and in the directing phase we see the management see whether the worker is moving in the right path or deviating from the right path. If somebody is deviating from the right path, then he will be brought back again to the right path. So, directing means it is the process of giving instruction or issuing instructions to the newly appointed employees and to see that they are going ahead with the right path, in the right path. And Urwick and Brecht, according to them, directing is the guidance, the inspiration, the leadership of those men and women that constitute the real core of responsibility of management. So, these are the definitions. You can go also other definitions, Ernest Dale, I am skipping it, you can go through your book. Then you see there are 4 elements of directing. These are communication, leadership, supervision, motivation. What is communication? Communication means conveying of some message. Here there are 3 things. A person who communicates, he is called communicator. The person to whom some message is communicated, he is called communicatee, and a piece of information which is called message. So, communicator passes some message to a person, another person which is called communicatee. Communication can be downward in the organization structure, that means top management may give instruction, may issue directions to middle management, middle level management may issue direction to bottom level management. In this way, the plans, objectives, plans and policies are communicated from top to bottom, that is downward flow of communication, upward flow of communication, similarly upward flow of communication. Here what the actual performance of the employees are reported to top management, that is reporting, or any feedback received from bottom by the top managers, or any grievances, any problems put forth by any worker, that is passed on to the top level managers for necessary solution, that is upward flow of information. So, communication can be downward or communication can be upward, that is called vertical communication. Again, communication can be horizontal, like suppose for example, production manager needs some raw material, he will ask for the purchase manager to supply the raw materials from the store. So, it is a communication between production manager and purchase manager. they are of equal rank. So, when communication takes place between two managers of equal rank, this is called horizontal communication. So, communication can be vertical, which may be downward or upward, again communication can be horizontal. Again communication can be either express or implied. Express communication means communication which is made by writing some message or by speaking something, that is spoken or written, and communication can be implied also. Implied communication means by giving some body signal, by giving some say body posture. Suppose somebody is, my friend is standing at a certain distance, I want him to come to me, I will just give a signal like this. So, by saying this he will come to me. So, this is also a communication, that is implied communication. I have not told anything, I have not written anything, but my friend understood my signal and came to me. So, that is a communication. Then leadership. Leadership is a process of, you see I have written here leadership in the keywords, you can find all the meaning in keywords. Leadership, the process of influencing the behavior of people by making them strive voluntarily towards achievement of organizational objectives. So, leader, a true leader is one who knows the way, who goes the way and who shows the way. That means, leader must know the plans, the policies, the objectives of the organization. Only then he can lead others. There should be some followers. The others will follow him only when he knows the way, he goes the way and he shows the way. So, leader. Supervision. Supervision is the process of overseeing the work of subordinates who are at work. When the subordinate is proceeding with work, his work is to be properly supervised, whether he is doing the work in the right way, in the right manner or not, that is to be seen by the supervisor. So, supervision is a process of overseeing the work of subordinates, and if somebody is deviating from the right path, he will be corrected back, he will be rectified, his movement will be rectified, his mistake will be rectified and he will be rectified, so that he will come to the right track again. Then motivation. Motivation is a type of inspiration, it is a process of inspiration. There are different types of inspiration or motivation which can be adopted, the techniques may be adopted by the management. They can be given financial incentives, like they can be given free education facility to their children, free medical facility, free transportation facility from the residence to the factory. In this way, there are several types of incentives, monetary and non-monetary incentives, which may be given by the management to the workers to motivate them. Then you see features of directing. It is a managerial function. I have already told, planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling, these are managerial functions. It is a managerial function, deals with human factor. It is a communicating function, it is a pervasive function, it is goal oriented, directs human behavior towards achieving objectives, performance oriented, converts plans into performance, flows from top to bottom or from bottom to top also. So, suppose that the directing function flows from top to bottom, that means a top level officer can only direct to subordinate. A subordinate cannot, a junior manager cannot give direction, cannot give order to senior manager. So, only a senior manager can give direction to junior manager. So, directing function flows from top to bottom. So, this flow, the reverse flow is not allowed. And then linking function, the planning, organizing and staffing, these are all preparatory functions and they are linked with the end result of the organization. So, these are importance of directing. Initiates action, directing initiates action, starts action, that means it adds life to the organization. Unless and until instructions are given to the workers, they cannot start work. So, first of all, what is to be done by a worker, it is to be communicated to him. So, it's actual work starts only with communication. So, it initiates action, it facilitates coordination, it also it is a means of motivation, some kind of techniques are adopted, strategies are adopted to motivate the workers, and it provides stability and growth by way of developing proper communication, so proper understanding is developed and it helps in providing stability and growth through the enterprise. It best utilization of resources. Also, directing helps in best utilization of resources, timely performance work. The work is to be completed in time, there will be no wastage of time, there will be no wastage of manpower, because they are under constant supervision. The worker is being constantly supervised, she cannot cheat, he cannot maintain idle time. Helps implement changes. So, any new technology that has come, that can be properly implemented by way of communicating to the workers, by making them trained, by giving them proper training in the for the introduction of new technology. So, it helps in introduce change. So, they are the keywords which I have already discussed. Directing, the process of instructing, there are four elements of direction. These are the communication, leadership, motivation and supervision. These are also written here. The process of instructing, leading, guiding, counseling and motivating. So, these are the keywords: communication, leadership, supervision and motivation. With this I conclude. Thank you. In this session we would discuss about the topic controlling as the last function of management. After controlling we will see coordination being the essence of management. So, let us start with controlling. So, controlling, here we will see about meaning, steps, objectives, features and importance. Meaning, what is controlling? It is a managerial process of evaluating the performance of the employees and if necessary taking corrective actions to see that the actual performance being in conformity with the planned performance, planned target or budgeted performance. So, it is a monitoring action, it is a managerial action which aims at monitoring the activities of the workers in right direction. So, controlling means, you see the definition, Henry Fayol, control consists in verifying whether everything occurs in conformity with the plans. That means, planning, in the planning phase, the first function, primary function of management, we determine the best way of achieving the objectives, and in controlling phase we will see whether everything has happened as per plans and policies or not. If not, then what is the fault, where it is, who is at fault, where the fault is being made or who is at mistake, everything is to be taken care of, everything is to be examined and they will be rectified, so that in future the same mistake will not arise. So, controlling as defined by Henry Fayol, it consists of verifying whether everything occurs in conformity with the plans adopted, the instructions issued, the principles established. It has the object to point out weaknesses and errors in order to rectify them and prevent reoccurrence, so that there will be no repetition. EFL Bridge, control is checking current performance against predetermined standards contained in the plans with a view to ensuring adequate progress and satisfactory performance, and also recording the experience gained from the working of these plans, so as to guide to possible future operations. So, these are the steps. These are the 4 important steps of controlling. Measurement of actual performance. Suppose our daily plan, as per our daily plan, so the daily production plan, suppose we planned to produce 100 metric ton in a particular day. So, that is our plan, the targeted output or budgeted output per day. At the end of the day, we will measure the actual output of the workers, that is called actual performance. So, that actual output will be compared with the second step, actual output will be compared with the planned output, that is budgeted output, targeted output. If the actual output may be more, may be less, may be equal to the planned output. So, actual output planned output was 100 units, 100 metric ton or 100 units, actual output may be 100 units, may be less than 100 units, may be more than 100 units. So, we will compare the actual performance, actual output, actual result with the predetermined standards. That standard may be annual standard or annual target or daily target, daily production plan or monthly production plan or whatever it may be. So, standard is a yardstick, standard is a measuring rod against which the actual performance will be compared and deviations are to be worked out. Deviation means the standard output and actual output, they will compare. If actual output is less, if actual output is less than the standard output, we say that there is below performance, the employee, the concerned employee has performed below the standard. If actual output is more than the standard output, we say that the employee is above par, that means he has produced above standard. So, he is more efficient or skilled worker, highly skilled worker. So, in this way we can know the deviations. Deviation can be positive deviation or negative deviation or adverse deviation. Positive deviation means the actual result is more than the standard result or actual performance is more than the standard performance, and negative or adverse variation, adverse deviation means when actual output falls below the standard, that is called negative deviation or adverse deviation or adverse variance. Then analysis of the causes of deviation. Now, in the third step we will analyze what are the real causes, why the actual output of worker A has fallen below the standard. A was asked to produce 20 units, standard output per worker is 20 units per day, but A has produced only 15 units, why? Or B has produced only 18 units or C has produced 22 units, why? What are the causes? The causes, these causes are of 2 types. Some causes are there which can be controlled by the management, some cannot be controlled, and who are at fault, whose mistake is responsible, for whose mistake the output has fallen, actual output has fallen below the standard. Maybe A waited for instruction to start work, the instructor came late, A reached in time, A reached the factory in time at 10 am, exactly at 10 am, but the instructor from whom he would have received the instruction, he came late, 1 hour late. So, A could not start work for lack of instruction, for want of instruction. So, this is the fault of supervisor, the instructor, not A. So, in this way we will analyze the causes, what is the cause of shortfall of output, actual output, or who is responsible for that. Then after analyzing the causes, after knowing the causes, we will take, the management will take corrective actions, corrective measures, so that in future the same mistake will not arise. Then objectives of controlling, to ensure that activities are performed in accordance with the predetermined standards. Standards are predetermined in the phase of planning. Planning determines the standards, planning determines the yardstick, planning determines the objectives, planning determines the best way of achieving the objectives. And in the phase of controlling, we will see whether actual progress of work is as per plans or not, whether actual output is or whether the employees are proceeding with work as per plan or not, whether they are proceeding in the right path or in right direction to achieve the objectives or not. These are to be checked, these are to be seen. So, controlling means monitoring, regulating the actual performance of workers in accordance with the plans and policies. So, plans and policies provide us standards, or yardstick or measuring rod, against which we can compare the actual result, to know what is happening or what has actually happened in the past. To determine the corrective action, what necessary remedial measure, what remedial action is to be taken by management to rectify the past mistakes, so that in future they will not be repeated. So, next is to coordinate the diverse activities and efforts of the employees. There are different departments, they are doing different aspects of job, organizational activities, and whether all are proceeding in the right direction to achieve the organizational objectives or not, that is to be seen. So, the coordination of diverse activities and efforts, that is also an objective of controlling. Then to improve the efficiency of operations by minimizing unnecessary and wasteful actions. By continuous supervision, it can be seen, it can be known by the supervisor that these are wasteful actions, wasteful movements being taken by the worker, they will be removed from the system, and the time will be saved. Then features of controlling. Control is a function of management. It is in fact, it is a managerial function, just like planning, organizing, staffing, directing. It is a managerial function. Control is a managerial function. It is in fact a follow-up action to other functions of management. It comes in the end, it comes in the end, controlling comes in the end as a post-mortem analysis of the activities, planning, organizing, staffing, all these activities are analyzed in the end. So, it is a post-mortem activities being done in the end. So, it is a pervasive function. Controlling is a pervasive function, that means controlling is needed in all the departments, at all levels of management, all managers follow the process of controlling. So, it is a all pervasive function. Control is forward looking, some say that control is looking back, that means we are measuring actual performance, we are checking what is the actual output, what is the actual output produced by worker in the past. In that sense it may be looking back, but in another sense it is looking forward, or it is future in the sense that the after knowing the causes of deviations, we take remedial measures and we inbuilt these remedies in the system, so that in the future the same mistake will not arise. So, in this way we our system is designed, our system is rectified, so that there will be no mistake in future. So, it is forward looking, in that sense it is forward looking, control is forward looking or future oriented. The essence of control is action. The basic objective of control is action. Action means, here action means not taking action against the defaulting employees, but the corrective action, the remedial measures that is taken on the basis of feedback information. So, this is the essence of control is action, remedial action, and features of control, it continues. Control is a continuous activity, it is continuous activity in the sense that as and when work progresses, the controlling function also goes side by side. Daily we measure the actual output of workers daily, and we can compare it with the daily production target, and we find out deviations. In this way the system continues throughout the year, it is a continuous process. Measurement of actual performance and comparison of the standards are made on continuous basis throughout the year, throughout the month for taking corrective measures as and when deviations take place. Control is a dynamic process. It involves continuous review of standards of performance and results in corrective action which may lead to changes in other functions. That means, sometimes on the basis of controlling, we may suppose we after measuring actual output of the workers, we find that 90% of workers are exceeding standards. Our standard output per day is 20 units, but most of the workers, say 90% of workers are producing above standard. They are producing 22 or 23 or like that. So, in that sense, we may think that our plan, our standard that we have fixed per day, standard output per day, which has been fixed at 20 units, whether maybe some the management, the planners, those who are making plans, those who are fixing the standard output per day, maybe somewhere they have committed certain errors, as a result of which the standard has fixed at a very lower level, which is very easy to reach by all types of all categories of workers, highly skilled workers, skilled workers, even semi skilled workers, they can easily reach the standard. That means, the standard has been fixed below par. So, in that case, revision of standard, revision of plan is to be made. So, controlling is a dynamic process, because we can know, we can learn from our faults, we can know, or we can come to learn from our past faults. If due to some mistake plans and standards have been incorrectly done, standards have been incorrectly fixed, they will be revised, they will be rectified. So, it is a dynamic process. It is usually preventive. Controlling is preventive. That means, prevention is better than cure. It is told that prevention is better than cure. So, it is controlling preventive in the sense that it leads to minimization of wastage of raw materials, minimization of wastage of labor hour, labor time, and minimization of wastage of different types of losses, loss of manpower, loss of time, and deviations from the standard. So, in that sense, it is usually preventive. It is a means, not controlling is a means, it is a way, it is a method to reach the goal, to reach the objective. It is not the objective. Controlling is not the objective of organization. The objective of the organization is to make profit and to and certain other objectives like social objectives, human objectives, all these objectives of business are to be achieved. So, controlling is one of the way, one of the method, one of the means through which we can achieve, or we can proceed to achieve the goals, to achieve the end result. So, it is a means, not an end. It is a positive function. Controlling is not a negative function. It does not mean that taking action against the persons who are at fault. Rather, it promotes efficiency and suggests methods to improve it. Planning and control are closely related. Planning and control, they are closely related in the sense that planning provides the yardstick or standard against which the actual performance can be compared and deviations can be worked out. Only when the deviations are calculated, we can take remedial measures. So, then importance of controlling, it helps in achieving organizational objectives. That means, plans are converted to performance. Whether plans have been converted to performance, that can be known from controlling. That means, our plan was this much, our standard was this much, whether we have achieved the standard or not, whether the plans have been converted to performance or not, that can be known from this function of management, that is controlling. So, it helps in achieving organizational objectives, that is execution of plans. It ensures achieving objectives as per plans. Then helpful in minimizing errors. Controlling helps in minimizing errors. Effective control mechanism helps detecting mistakes at the earliest before they aggravate the situation. Proper use of resources. Control ensures efficient utilization of human beings, efficient utilization of physical resources, efficient utilization of financial resources at every activity, as every activity is started and completed as per predetermined plan, program and schedule. So, chances of errors are minimized. So, proper utilization of resources are possible. Improves employee performance. It improves employee performance because in the by way of continuous controlling or regulating the action of subordinates, we can know what are the wasteful actions being taken by them, which can be removed and their performance can be improved. It ensures order and discipline. The by way of by improving good communication system inside the organization, their order can be maintained, discipline can be maintained. It facilitates decentralization. That means, after developing standards, the top level officers, they are freed from the responsibility of interfering in routine natures. So, it facilitates decentralization of power, facilitates coordination among all the departments, controlling facilitates coordination, because the work of one department can be checked by work of another department, facilitates review and revision of standards, and review and revision of, I have already told that if the standard has been fixed at a very low level, and if we find that most of the employees are exceeding the standard, then the standard has to be revised, the standard has to be increased on the basis of the average performance of the employees. Sometimes the standard may be fixed at a very high level, which is even very difficult to reach by the by the highly efficient workers. Suppose our standard is output per day is fixed at 20 units, but most of the workers, 95% workers fail to reach the standard, they fall below 20%. So, in that case our standard is to be lowered, fixed at a lower level, so that they can perform. Most of the workers, average workers, around 50% of workers should reach the standard in time. That is all about controlling. Next we will start about coordination. So, after controlling we will start another function of management, that is called coordination. Rather it is not a function of management, it is called essence of management. So, what is coordination? Coordination, the essence of management. What is coordination? In fact, Luther Gulick has given a keyword to describe the various functions of management. Luther Gulick, she has given a keyword, that is post curve. Luther Gulick he has given a keyword post curve. So, these are the 7 managerial functions as identified Luther Gulick. P for planning, O for organizing, S for staffing, D for directing, CO for coordinating, R for reporting, and B for budgeting. Some subsequent management thinkers, they told that reporting and budgeting are not 2 functions of management, rather these 2 are 2 tools for controlling. So, we have replaced reporting and budgeting by controlling. We have already completed controlling. Then another is coordinating. Before reporting and budgeting, coordinating, as Luther Gulick says that coordinating, it has been included in the list of functions: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating and controlling. By Luther Gulick, he has included coordinating as a function of management, but some subsequent management thinkers, they argue that coordination is not a separate function of management, because coordination is required in planning, coordination is required in organizing, coordination is required in staffing, coordination is the essence of management, it is required in all other functions of management. So, they told that coordination is not to be included as a separate function of management, rather it should be discussed as an essence of management. So, what is coordination? To know the meaning of coordination, let me tell you a small story. Like there was a village boy, he had to attend an interview in a town on a certain day. So, before the day of interview, he set the alarm at 4 a.m. so that he can get up at 4 a.m. and he can get ready by the time the village boss comes to his doorstep. After a certain time, his father set the alarm at 3:30, because he knew that his son was very lazy, he might not get ready before the boss arrives. So, he set the alarm at 3:30. Again his mother, when she came to bed late at night, she again set the alarm at 3:15. So, in this way the alarm was set at 3:15 and alarm rang at 3:15. The boy got up and found that it is only 3:15, it is not 4. So, again he went to bed and he slept, and by the time he woke up from bed it was 5, the boss had already left. So, he failed to attend the interview. It is because lack of coordination between father, mother and son. So, coordination is the essence of organization. That means, the boy failed to attend the interview not because of lack of cooperation, that is full cooperation among the family members, both all are cooperative, but they failed to, the mission was not fulfilled, the objective could not be achieved because of lack of something that is called coordination. So, coordination is an essence of management. Whenever and wherever a group of people work together to achieve some common goals, management is essential, and management can bind all these diverse forces, diverse efforts by coordination. So, coordination is just like a rope which binds all diverse efforts of individuals together. So, what is coordination? You see the meaning. Coordination is the synchronization, it means unification, it means integration of the efforts of group of members, so that they proceed with right direction, so that unity of action can be achieved in pursuit of common goals of the organization. Coordination is an orderly arrangement of group efforts to maintain harmony among individual efforts towards accomplishment of common goals of the organization. There are some certain definitions, you can go through your book. I am not elaborating all these things because it is all there in your books, you can go through them. Steps of coordination: balancing, timing and integration. These are the three important steps of coordination. Balancing, it means giving due weightage and importance to each people and activity on the basis of merit and need. So, we will give due importance to the people and activity on the basis of their merit and need. Timing, it means timely movement of related activities, and integration, it means unification of related activities. Features of coordination: coordination is relevant to group efforts. So, whenever and wherever a group of people are working together, suppose purchase department, production department, finance, there are many departments, they are doing their part of jobs, but a kind of coordination among them is essential, otherwise production target cannot be met. Suppose production target is 1000 units per day. If purchase manager does not purchase raw material, does not provide raw material to the production department, if there is lack of coordination between production department and purchase department, then production is impossible. Therefore, the production manager cannot meet his target. So, there must be coordination between production manager and purchase manager. So, there must be coordination among all departmental managers. So, coordination is relevant to group efforts and not for individual efforts. It is needed at all levels of management. There are 3 levels of management: top level, middle level and bottom level. Coordination is required in all levels of management. It emphasizes of unity of efforts. It is a continuous process. It is done. It proceeds throughout the year, throughout the day. The higher the degree of coordination, the higher the degree of possibility of achieving the objectives. Coordination being an essence. Why it is called essence? Because coordination is required not only in planning, but also in organizing, in controlling. Whenever and wherever a group of people are involved in doing something, coordination is required. In planning, a group of people are engaged in planning, so coordination is required to be among them, so that good planning can be made. You see here I have written planning and coordination, how planning is how coordination is helpful in planning, how coordination is helpful in organizing, how coordination is helpful in staffing, how coordination is helpful in directing, how coordination is helpful in controlling. That means, coordination is required in all these 5 managerial functions. Coordination in planning, different departmental plans are prepared. So, that finance plan, production plan, purchase plan, all these plans are to be coordinated together, so that the target of production department can be achieved by the successful achievement of the goal of the purchase department. Purchase department will purchase raw material in time, and production department then only can proceed with work and meet the target. So, different plans such as financial plan, purchase plan, production plan, marketing plan, these are different plans, all these plans must be coordinated. Organizing and coordination. Organizing results in development of organization structure, we have already seen. Organizing is the process of creating an organization structure. So, in that case also coordination is required, otherwise a good organization structure cannot be developed. Staffing and coordination. A managerial function, staffing, we have already seen staffing. Staffing means appointment of right person for right job position, and there also coordination is required. A manager should bear in mind that right quality, right quantity. Quantity means number of personnel, quality means the qualification and skills, and these are required to be filled up by to various positions. So, in staffing, coordination is required. Directing and coordination. The purpose of giving orders, instructions and guidance to its subordinates is served only when there is a harmonious relationship between superiors and subordinates. Otherwise, we cannot do the achieve the objective. Controlling and coordination. In phase of controlling, manager ensures that there should be proper coordination between actual performance and standard performance to achieve the organizational goals. From the above discussion, we can say that coordination is an essence of management. It is not a separate function of management. So, in this way, we have seen that there are 5 different functions of management: planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling, and coordination is an essence of management which is required in all the levels. Planning means deciding objectives and determining the best way. There are several alternatives to achieve the goals. What is the best way of achieving the goal? That is planning. Organizing means creating an organization structure showing various job positions, defining responsibility and authority of each job position, and staffing means appointment of right person for the right job position, so that he can discharge the responsibility effectively and efficiently. Then directing. Directing means giving instructions, giving orders, giving commands to the subordinate to get the work done. Organization gets live only with directing. Then controlling. Controlling means measurement of actual performance, comparing with standard performance, and if any deviation is there, then necessary corrective measures, remedial measures is to be taken. So, this is all about different functions of management, and coordination is required in all these functions. So, this all about your functions of management and coordination. Thank you all.